Mini Kitty Hat DIY Kit. The box comes with a ball of yarn, pattern, and a set of knitting needles. So this is all you need to make a mini kitty hat. First, we're going to make a slip knot. This is how we start any knitting project. When you make the slip knot, make sure it's not too loose and not too tight. It should just loosely go over the needle. And then we're going to cast on. This cast on method is called backward loop. Don't pull it too tight. Make sure it's loose around the needle. Casting on basically just means getting the first row or round on your needles. You can wrap the yarn around your hand or around your finger, whichever way feels more comfortable. Just make sure all the loops go in the same direction on the needle. And then just keep moving the stitches down the needle. I like to always have maybe 3 or 4 on the needle, and the rest you can just let them slide down the cable. When you're done casting on, you always want to make sure to count how many stitches you have, and then you can push them all the way down so that you have some on both needles and the rest are on the cable. Make sure you don't twist. Make sure all stitches are facing in the same direction. If you twist like this, you're going to have to take everything out. So make sure everything looks nice and even. And then you're ready to start knitting. Insert the needle through the first stitch. Wrap the yarn around the bottom needle. It's called yarn over. Pull it through the loop and take it off the needle. And you repeat again. Insert the needle in the same direction, yarn over, pull the yarn out like so, and then take it off the needle. And then just keep moving the stitches along. You always want to have a few stitches on every needle. Insert the needle, yarn over, pull it through the loop, and take it off. So it's just a 4-step process. Step 1, insert the needle. Step 2, yarn over. Step 3, pull it through the loop. And step 4, take it off. In, yarn over, pull it through the loop, and take it off. Keep moving the stitches along. One, two, three, and 4. And when you're first starting out, it's very helpful if you just keep repeating the steps in your head. If you skip a step, that's when you make a mistake. When you're done knitting the required number of rounds, you will always want to make sure you count how many you have. So the tail end marks the beginning of every round. You don't count that horizontal line, and you don't count the first diagonal. But after that first one, you count them all, every single one of them, all the way up, including the one that sits on the needle. You want to include that as well. And then now we're going to cast off. You knit 1 stitch, you knit one more. So we've just knitted 2 stitches, and then you pull the yarn from the first stitch over the second one. You repeat the process. You knit one, and then again you take the previous one like so and pull it over. You knit one more and you repeat. You knit one, you pull yarn over. And then you see how you're starting to see this gap. So it means you're doing everything right. You knit one and you pull yarn over. And you just keep going all the way until you have no more stitches left. And just keep moving the stitches along. So you knit one, you pull yarn over. Knit one, pull yarn over. And then the last one. So there's only one stitch left on the needle, but then we have that little gap. So there's a little trick. We're going to insert the needle through the last through these 2 strands of yarn there. Normally we insert the needle through one stitch, but here we're going to do it through 2 strands at the same time. In, yarn over, pull it through, and then pull yarn over like so. Okay, at this point we're definitely done. Before we cut the yarn, we need to make sure we have enough to seam the top of the head. So I recommend measuring 2 to 3 times the width of the head. I think 3 times it's probably safer just in case. I think 2 might work, but if you're just a beginner, definitely do 3 times. Then you can cut the yarn. You take the tail end and you put it through your last stitch. This way it will be completely secure. Otherwise it will unravel. And what we're going to do next is seam the top. You take the tail end and you're going to put it through the first stitch like so, and then you're going to do the same thing on the back. And then again through the next stitch in the front. Just make sure you always go in the same direction. Okay, the next one in the back, in and out. Next stitch in the front, in and out. And then you just keep going until you're done. Don't pull it too tight and don't make it too loose. You just want to do kind of nice and even tension all the way. And when you're at the end, here we are getting ready to bind off. So for your last stitch, you just want to make sure it's secure, so you want to put it through the loop one more time. So there's nothing special you need to do for the ears. When you cut, you will just stick that little tail. You'll just put it through so that it's on the inside. So this head, so yeah, on the inside you can just weave it in between the stitches, just one by one. Just make sure everything looks nice and clean. You need to weave in the other end as well in exactly same way. Just put it through on the inside and hide it in between the stitches. If you have a felting needle, you can use it to felt the end, but it's definitely not required. It will stay like this on its own. There's no problem there. So when everything looks nice and clean, you're done. And the little ears, they will just kind of pop on their own once the head is worn.